Hello there, welcome to Craft with Fee. Welcome to another week in our 12 weeks of Christmas stitch along. This week we're going to be making a little drawstring pouch. So we are going to be choosing one of our fat eighths from our fat eighth bundle, and of course we're using the gorgeous Maple Farm fabrics from TILDA. If you aren't using Maple Farm, don't stress, it's absolutely fine, but the reason we're doing this stitch along is to showcase these gorgeous fabrics to you. So, yeah, you'll need a fat eighth. So I've chosen this gorgeous big print here, and I've also chosen some embroidery threads that match it. Now, if you are in the TILDA Lovers group on Facebook, there's a list of threads on there which match this beautiful range, and I've also done a conversion from DMC to Cosmo because I'm using a DMC and 3 Cosmo for this project. So we've got Cosmo 107, DMC 3042, Cosmo 104 and Cosmo 2251, and they're a pretty close match to that fabric. They're going to look gorgeous. So that's what I've chosen. Pop the fabric off to one side. You're also going to need a drawstring cord of some description. If you have the kit, you will find that you've got some cord already in your kit. You will also need to print off the template sheet. There'll be a link in the description box down below for you to download it, or if you are a member of the TILDA Lovers group on Facebook, the group has a files section and you will find the template there. So you need to print it out on cardboard, I suggest, because that then makes you a beautiful template. So then you just need to cut around the shape of the pouch, and we are going to take a piece of our natural linen, which is, let me get my measurement, it is 13 inches wide by 9 inches in depth, and I've also cut a piece of fusible wadding, which is Parlan in this instance, for this project as well. So just pop the Parlan off to one side for the moment and take your 13 by 9 piece of natural linen, and if you've got your template cut out already, you need to transfer the template shape onto your fabric. Now I'm going to use a water erasable marker. I am going to be ironing the iron-on transfer onto this, and if I don't use steam, which we don't when we use those, we won't lose our drawing. But don't use a heat transfer pen because, a heat removal pen, because once we go to put the iron-on transfer on, you will lose your image. Now, because we're using natural linen, you can't use a light box for this. It just doesn't work. You can't see the image through it. So you'll either need to use an iron-on transfer, which is available on the kittyrosecottage.com site, or you will need to use an iron-on transfer pen, which are also on the site. They're very inexpensive, and I do have a video on how to use those to transfer images onto darker fabrics like this. So what we're going to do is just trace this around. Now I've given you the measurements so that you're not going to waste any fabric. I'm not doing a very good job of tracing here. My pen's losing a bit of its ink. That's okay. I'll have to get in touch with Kitty and get another one. Let's try another pen. Is this one going to work any better? Let's hope so. Aha. Yes, I think the other one has died. There we go. That's better. Much, much better. I'll just trace around this one again. Okay, so then we're going to go over to the ironing board and we're going to iron our image down onto one of the sides of this. Now, of course, you can have it on an angle if you wish. You can pop it on an angle. You can do it straight. You can do it however you want. So we'll take that over, and we'll take our Parlan with us, because once we've got our image on there, we're going to iron our Parlan onto it as well. Okay, so I've turned the steam off on my iron, and I'm just going to work out where I'm going to place this. So I think about there. Now remember that you do have to have a seam allowance on your little pouch, so make sure that you don't go too close to any of the edges. Now our iron-on transfer method, as you know, is to use our amazing tape. So we just pop one on each corner, make sure it's nice and smooth. There we go. And then, of course, we're going to use our sheet, and then we're just going to apply our heat. Now remember that when you're doing the iron-on transfer method, that you don't slide your iron around. You pick your iron up and you pop it back down into another spot. And that way you've got no risk of you actually moving that transfer. Even though we've got it taped down and it's in the one spot, if you were to move your iron around onto it, you would get a blurred image. Okay, so that should be enough. We'll just have a little sneaky peek, and the beauty of using the tape method is that you can have a little sneaky peek. Okay, so you can't see because I had a sneak, but there's a bit of image there not transferred, and part of that leaf is not transferred, which means I need to apply more heat. So if you're using the iron-on transfer pens, this process is still the same. You'll find on the pattern sheet that there is a reversed image if you are going to be using the iron-on transfer pens. Or alternatively, you could use a lighter fabric for your pouch and just trace the old-fashioned way. That's fine as well. Okay, there we go. We have our beautiful transferred image. So we can stitch that. Now I'm going to pop our parlan down now, and then we're going to put our linen over the top. And I like to iron to begin with from the parlan side. So we'll just give that a little press. There we go. And then we'll also do it from the front. And there we go. And you can see now why we don't use the heat removable pen. So we'll go ahead and stitch this now, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, there we go. All the design is stitched. Now I have stitched everything in chain stitch except for the center, which I've done in satin stitch, but you choose which stitches you're most comfortable with and you do that. Okay, so we're going to cut these two pieces apart, and then we are going to use our ruler and our rotary cutter to cut. Now the reason I'm doing that is because they'll give you a beautiful straight line. You've already got a line drawn there, and by using your rotary cutter you can just cut down the cutting with the scissors. So on the sides there you can see that the curve is still there. We've got the curve there, but I'm just cutting away those bits like so. And then all we've got left now to do is to cut the curve with the scissors, so everything else has been cut. So we are going to just cut it round like so. So I'm going to go off and do this to the back piece as well, and then I'm going to trace two of the same shape onto our main fabric, and I'm going to cut those ones out as well. Okay, so there we go. We've got our two outer pieces and we've got our two inside pieces. Now we're going to pop these inside pieces aside for a moment. Now the outside ones, we're going to take our water-soluble marker and a ruler, and we are going to draw a 1-inch line straight across the top. So we're going to measure 1 inch from the raw edge of the top, and then we're just going to draw a line across there. We'll do the same to the back. Okay, and then from our main fabric, what we've got left of our main fabric, we're going to cut 2 strips, and they're going to measure 2.5 inches by 6 inches. And I have cut mine so that the fabric is the way that it is on the bolt, so that the flower is sitting the right way. You can do it the wrong way, but it's up to you. Then what I want you to do is I want you to iron over 1/2 inch on both sides of the short ends there, and then I want you to, with the right sides together, I want you to fold it in half, and I want you to stitch down the side, and that will form a tube. Then you need to turn it to the right way, and then fold it so that the join, your stitch line, is at the back, and that will give you your casing for your drawstring. And you can see in there that that's where my folded edges are, so you get those lovely neat edges. And you've got your seam at the center of the back, because then you can't see it. And so then what I want you to do is I want you to center it underneath that 1 inch line. So it's going to be sitting right on that 1 inch line there. And then, let me just grab my pins. Then I want you to pin it in place right through the center. And then I want you to stitch it down at the top of that casing and at the bottom of that casing. And then you do exactly the same for the other piece. So I'll come back and we'll have both pieces of casing done and sewn onto the outsides of our little bag. Okay, there we go. Now I've just taken a damp cloth and I've just wiped off the remainder of our water-soluble marker there, just to get rid of all of that. And there you have it. You have your 2 drawstrings casings. So I'll just trim off that bit of cotton there. Yep, that looks just fine. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put both sides together, the 2 sides together, and we're going to stitch all the way around using a 1/4 inch seam. So we're going to go from this top section here, we're going to go all the way around right back to this side here. I'm going to leave the top open. And then we're going to take the lining, which I've already taken the liberty of sewing together. We're going to take the lining and do exactly the same thing. We're going to put both of the right sides together, like so. But we're going to leave a gap, and I have left a gap from here to here. So I've sewn from the top to there, and then I've sewn from here all the way around. And then I've come back and I have clipped the curves, just so that when it comes time for turning, we're going to have a lovely neat edge on the bottom. So we'll go and sew this together and we'll come back. Okay, there we go. So I have sewn it, I have clipped the curve, and I've turned it to the right way. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to take the outside of our little bag and we're going to put it inside the lining of the bag. And so we're then going to match up our seams on our sides here, and we're going to make sure that they're going to be turning in different directions. So you can see there that I have the outer seam of the bag going off to the left, and I have the inside part of the bag going to the right. So I'm just going to pop a fork pin in there because they tend to keep seams nice and tight and don't move. And then we're going to do the same thing to this seam here. I'm going to make sure that it's going in opposite directions. And then we'll grab a couple of other pins and just pop around the top here, just one for each side. And then we're going to take this back to the sewing machine and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch in and all the way around. And then we can turn our bag to the right side using this hole here in the lining. So we'll go and do that. Okay, so there we go. So we just pulled the lining through the lining, and then we've got our hole here. As you can see, I've just pressed that close, and I'll do a little slip stitch just to finish that off. So you just push your lining down into your bag, and then you are ready to put your drawstring in. So what we're going to do with the drawstring is we've got a piece here that is 1 metre long, and we're going to actually just cut that in half. So then we have 2 pieces that are 50 centimetres each. Now what is that in inches? 50 centimetres I think is 20 inches. It is. So your original piece should be 40 inches if you're talking in inches. Now what I want you to do with your first piece is I want you to tie it into a knot. So you do a little knot like that, and then we're going to take a safety pin. I can find one here in this bag. There we go. That's a nice big one. Looks like one that you could close a nappy with, that I reckon. So we're just going to pop that safety pin through that knot. And then we're going to thread from the right to the left through the front of our casing on our bag. Okay. And when you come through the other end, just make sure that you've got it under the fold in the fabric, because it might get caught on that fold, which mine has there. Hang on. It's a matter of persevering and making sure that you get it in between those folds. There we go. So it's come out the other end there. Okay, and I don't want you to pull it all the way through, just partially. And then we're going to go through and we're going to do the same thing on the back. Okay, so we just get it to come out that side there. And then pull it through so that the bag's flat and that your two pieces of cord are approximately the same length. I want you to chop that knot off, or you can undo it. Actually, I'll try and undo it because I do prefer to do that. Sometimes I chop it off and sometimes I don't. But as you know, I'm having trouble with my left hand at the moment and my fine motor skills just aren't there. Okay, I got it. So get them level, so they're like that, and then you can tie a knot together because you want both of those pieces together. And then just push your knot to the end there like that. Okay, now you need to take your next piece and put a knot in that. Pop your safety pin through your knot, and this time we're going to thread from the other side. So we're going to go exactly opposite to where we were before. So same thing will probably happen. You'll probably get that caught up in those folds, but it is, with a bit of perseverance, quite easy to get out. So don't pull that all the way through. Make sure that you have still got some coming out the other end. And what you're effectively doing is making a proper drawstring. And I'll show you in a moment the magic of the drawstring. Now, if you've done these before, you already know what the magic is. Oops, we pulled a thread in that one. I'll just cut that off. Okay, so same thing. Just pull that one back through there. We're going to get them around about to the same length. See if we can't undo this knot again. No, that one's not going to be as easy, so I am going to cut that one off. Okay, so we'll take those two and we'll tie a knot in them, and then we'll push that knot to the end like so. And there you go. So you've got your two sides there. Now watch what happens when you pull on both sides. Look at that. Voila! You have a beautiful, beautiful drawstring bag. So you can take this with you to sewing. You can take it on overnight trips and pop your makeup in there. You can put your money in there. You can, you can put your EPP in there. You can use it for anything. It's a beautiful little sized pouch. Super easy to make, as you can see, because you've just made one. And it showcases the fabric beautifully. I mean, I always love to look inside to see what sort of fabric is in linings. And I think that is absolutely gorgeous. Now, of course, as you know, this is Maple Farm, and this is one of my favourite prints in here. And just because I put it on the inside of the bag doesn't mean that I'm hiding it. It means that I'm actually showcasing it. So there you go. I hope that you've enjoyed making my little drawstring bag, and I'll see you back here next week. Bye for now.